Today I'm going to talk about assessment methods for ESL teachers. So there are formal and informal. First of all, I'm going to talk about informal methods. So these are things like when you walk around when people are doing pair work or a little group project, you don't interfere, but you just kind of like eavesdrop. And if I hear students kind of making the same mistake over and over again, I'll maybe just like gently just correct them, or just at the end of that activity, I'll kind of point out many students made this mistake and then just kind of correct students in that way and assess them as well. All right, the next thing you can do for informal assessment is when students are doing pair work and then maybe they're like filling in the blank or they're doing a little vocabulary matching exercise. So I have students do it by themselves. Then I have them compare with a partner, and then I elicit answers from the class. So this is when I can see, do students actually understand what I taught them? Do they understand the vocabulary? Are they struggling with maybe verb conjugation? That kind of thing. So that's just a nice informal assessment method. All right, the next way to get informal assessment is to elicit feedback from the class. So if a student asks me a question, I will almost never give a straight answer. I'll just kind of get them to give me the answer, or other students. I'll just kind of like lead them on the path of getting it, but I will never just straight up tell them. So you can do that, and that's a nice way to assess what do students actually know and have they actually understood what I taught them. And if you want to do that slightly more formally, you could use CCQs. So CCQs are concept checking questions. So if I teach something to my students, at the end of the little presentation, I'll ask questions about it. So for example, if I'm teaching about the simple past, I would just say maybe like a sentence like, I didn't eat dinner. Is that right? Is that not right? And then students, no, I didn't eat dinner. Oh, okay, thank you. Or I'll say, I go to school yesterday. Is that right? Students would just say, no, I went to school yesterday. So that kind of thing. Just concept checking questions just to make sure students have completely understood what you taught them after the presentation part of your lesson. So that is a nice informal assessment. A couple other things you could do is just a little pop quiz. So maybe at the beginning of a class or at the end of a class, give students a little quiz about what you taught them the previous class or what you taught them that class. And don't give any grades, just a little quiz to see what students have learned or what they've retained. And another way also is homework assignments. So give a little bit of homework and then you can check it. It can be for grades or not for grades, is really up to you. Okay, so those were the informal assessment methods. Now I'm going to move on to the formal assessment methods. So formal is things like tests and exams. Maybe it's like a group activity or a presentation, maybe like a portfolio, that kind of thing. So it's more formal. And if you teach it at, like, say, a university, these are the things the students would get graded on to get their final grade. So there's two different ones, formative and summative. So formative happens throughout your course. So it could be like maybe like the midterm exam, something like that. Summative is the final exam or the final project or the final portfolio the students have to submit. Okay, so formal and informal, they both happen in most ESL classes, and they are both necessary. And formative assessment and summative assessment, they also usually will happen in all kinds of English classes. So always walk around the class with a little listening ear, see what students are saying, see what they're doing, try to pick up on their mistakes and give some feedback to students. That's in the informal way. And then the formal way, give a little test or exam once in a while. I find doing that, it's almost nothing motivates students as more to learn a vocabulary set than if they have a test on it. Okay, so those are assessment ideas for ESL teachers. Please be sure to check out my book, ESL, EFL Teaching Practice and Methodology.